Bhagavate Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Neshtike. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam. Hey Krishna, Karuna Sindhu, Dina Bandhu, Jagatpate, Gopesha, Gopika Kanta,
Radha Kanta Namastute.
Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi, Radhe, Vrindavaneshwari, Rishabhanu, Sate Devi, Pranamami, Hari Priye, Namo Krishna Padaya, Krishna Prishtaya, Bhutale, Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Vaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnave
Namo Namah. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri
Yadvaita Gadadhara
Radharani Shri Vasudeva
Samvini
Gaura Bhakta Varda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. We continue our reading of Srimad Bhagavatam from Canto 3. We are on chapter 9, text 11. Lord Brahma is still offering the prayers to Garbhodakshay Vishnu. So we are reading from the purport. Continue. This attachment of the devotee to a particular form of the Lord is due to natural inclination. Each and every living entity is originally attached to a particular type of transcendental service because he is eternally the servitor of the Lord. Lord Chaitanya says that the living entity is eternally a servitor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Therefore, every living entity has a particular type of service relationship with the Lord eternally. So each of us has a particular relationship with Krishna, a loving relationship. And it's just we have forgotten it right now. But Lord Chaitanya says each of us have it. You know, and it's in a particular ras. There are 5 rasas. So we cannot artificially try to say, oh, I'm in this ras, or I am this one, or I'm a peacock or a flute. No, we just continue hearing and chanting, and gradually, it will be revealed what is our relationship. If we can chant to that with that purity, you know. So this particular attachment is invoked by practice of regulated devotional service to the Lord. And thus the devotee becomes attached to the eternal form of the Lord, exactly like one who is already eternally attached. So then somebody might be attached to Lord Ramachandra, or somebody is attached to Lord Narayan or to Lord Krishna. It's just innate in us. Nobody has to force us. You know, it's our eternal relationship. Like Lord Chaitanya, he had one of the associates. His name was Murari Gupta. And Murari Gupta was always chanting the names of Lord. Always his meditation was on Lord Ramachandra. His mind was always fixed on Lord Ramachandra. Lord Chaitanya told Murari Gupta, oh, you fix your mind on Krishna, no? So then the next morning, Murari Gupta came to Lord Chaitanya and said, I'm going to give up my life. Lord Chaitanya said, why? What happened? He said, I tried to fix my mind on Lord Krishna. Well, I can't. I can't give up my attachment to Lord Rama. I just can't. And so I'm going to give up my life. I can't follow your instruction. Lord Chaitanya said, I know who you are. You are Hanuman. That's the reason you cannot give up your attachment to Lord Ramachandra. You continue in your attachment. Because when Lord Chaitanya came, so many of his other eternal associates also came. You know, those who are in Krishna Leela and Ram Leela. So Murari Gupta is Hanuman actually. So he has that relationship with Lord Ramachandra. So he can't change it. Similarly, we also have an eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord. And the more we engage in devotional service, the more it will be revealed. This attachment for a particular form of the Lord is called Swarup Siddhi. The Lord sits on the lotus heart of the devotee in the eternal form the pure devotee desires, and thus the Lord does not part from the devotee as confirmed in the previous verse. So Swarup Siddhi, you know, that we are situated in our original Swarup, our own original form. Because right now we are thinking that this body is our form, but that is not our form. We have a spiritual form, a form full of eternal bliss and knowledge. And the more we engage in devotional service, then we can be situated in that form. The Lord, however, does not disclose himself to a casual or unauthentic worshipper to be exploited. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 7.25. Naham prakasha sarvasya yoga maya samavritaha. So rather, by yoga maya, the Lord remains concealed to the devotees or casual devotees who are serving their sense gratification. So there are many levels of devotees. You know, there are devotees who are looking like Karma Mishra Bhakti. They're doing devotional service, but the idea is to still enjoy the material world. There's Gyan Mishra Bhakti. They are doing devotional service, but their intention is to get more knowledge. So to these kind of devotees, the Lord does not reveal himself. Of course, to the degree we surrender, Krishna says, whatever degree we surrender, to that degree he reveals. Now, they are pure devotees, really pure devotees, and Krishna reveals himself, you know, to them. The Lord is never visible to the pseudo-devotees who worship the demigods in charge of universal affairs. So someone will say, I'm a devotee, I'm worshipping Lord Shiva, I'm a devotee, I'm worshipping Durga Devi or Lord Ganesh. But then because our attachment is still to be in the material world, then Krishna says, you do not need that information. You know, if I'm still attached to this material world, then I do not need to know what's my original form. So Krishna does not show it. The conclusion is that the Lord cannot become the order supplier of a pseudo-devotee, but he is always prepared to respond to the desires of a pure, unconditional devotee who is free from all tinges of material infection. So that's the position of Krishna. And that's the reason he's called Bhaktavatsal. Somebody who's trying to become who is pretending to be a devotee, that's pseudo-devotee, means he's pretending, means his desire is not actually to know Krishna, his desire is something else. So Krishna fulfills that desire, that something desire, you know. That's how he is, Krishna. Whatever is our desire, he fulfills. But if someone's desire is only, Krishna, I want to please you, unconditional devotee, my only desire is to please you. If my unhappiness makes you happy, then that is my happiness. That is the mood of Srimati Radharani. That is unconditional. That is the last verse of Shikshastakam, the 8th verse. So if the mood of the devotee is that if my unhappiness makes you happy, then that unhappiness is my greatest happiness. And then Krishna becomes completely under the control of such a devotee because of the love. It's all based on the love and affection. Is that okay?
I think there is a story of Govinda, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's personal servant.
Yeah.
In regard of this, right?
That's in regard of service. Yeah. That's in regard of service that that Lord Chaitanya, he was lying down at the doorway, at the threshold. He was like kind of in the middle of the door, kind of. So Govinda, it was time for Lord Chaitanya's massage. So he crossed over the body of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and started giving him the massage. Then after that, Lord Chaitanya turned and he was sleeping. So Govinda was just sitting there. This was after Lord Chaitanya's lunch. And then he was just still sitting there. And then after Lord Chaitanya's nap, Lord Chaitanya said, "Hey, Govinda, have you eaten your lunch or no?" Govinda said, "No, I didn't eat my lunch. You are lying down on the doorway. How can I go? I cannot step over you and, like cross over your body and go get my lunch." Then Lord Chaitanya said, but when you had to give me massage, you did that. Then why you didn't do because for your lunch? So Govinda said, "But my dear Lord, for the service, I can do anything." And Lord Chaitanya approved it. The Lord Chaitanya approved because the mood is just to serve.
Okay, so that's for the service. And this is like for the
mood. That's the mood of service that, a devotee is prepared to, even sometimes if you need to break some details, some minor details for engaging in your service.
Okay.
The higher principle is that you engage in the service. But so the pure devotees, for their personal desire, for their personal or whatever, they will not break it. So Govinda, because he was supposed to eat lunch, but it's not, he said, "No, I cannot go over the body of Lord Chaitanya, even though it's time for me to eat lunch."
Yeah, so for his personal, he did not, but for sake of Krishna, for serving him, it doesn't matter anything.
Yeah. Well, doesn't matter, like the minor details,
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, the intention is to serve.
So his service should be the priority. So in the same way, like if our problems are his happiness, then it's okay. That's what you are trying to tell.
Yeah, right? That's Radharani's mood. The Shikshastakam, the last word of Shikshastakam, the last verse of Shikshastakam, she's telling to Krishna, "Oh, that I know you have so many other women, Lampato, you are like going out with so many women. But if that makes you happy, then that is my greatest happiness." So the devotees in the purified stage, they actually feel that. They feel that, just to make you happy, Krishna. Like then the story is also of Narad Muni and Krishna, that Narad Muni was asking Krishna, "Who's your greatest devotee?" So Krishna said, "Okay, go find out. You will come to know. You tell them I have a headache and I need the dust of the lotus of the feet of the devotees. Then only my headache will go." So Narad Muni went to the Brahmanas first, who were chanting the Vedas, who were engaged in studying the Vedas. He went to them, said, "Krishna has a headache. His headache will be finished only if you give me the dust from your feet." The Brahmana said, "Are you crazy? What are you speaking about? If we give you the dust of our feet, we are going to go to hell. We can't give you that. We are supposed to put the dust of Krishna's feet on our head. We can't give him the dust of our feet. So Narad Muni said, anyway, then he went to the great yogis who were sitting in meditation on the super soul. He asked the same thing. Can you please give me the dust of your feet? Krishna needs the dust so that his headache can go. Yogi said, no, we can't give you that. We are going to eternally burn in hell. We can't give you. Then Narad Muni, like that, finally he reached the gopis. He said, my dear gopis.
He went to Rukmani also.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh,
and
okay, I haven't heard that.
Yeah, he went to Rukmani and same thing. And Rukmani said, no, how can I give, the dust from my feet to Krishna, to my, my Lord.
My
No,
Lord.
it's sinful. Yeah. It's a sin.
Yeah.
So and then he went to the gopis.
Then he went to the gopis. Then the gopis said, oh, our Lord, he has a headache, and his headache can be finished just by the dust of our feet. Take bucketfuls. Take how much ever you need. They started putting and filling it in a bucket. Then Narad Muni said, oh, you're not afraid that you will be going to hell because of the sinful reactions, putting your feet on Krishna, the dust of your feet on Krishna. So the gopis said, we are prepared to do that for Krishna, if his headache can be relieved, even for a moment, and we have to burn in hell, suffer in hell eternally, we are prepared to do that. At least for a moment, Krishna will feel relief from the headache. So then that's the glory of the gopis' love. That's why they are known as the highest devotees. That, my dear Krishna, I don't care for my unhappiness. My happiness is only in your happiness. That way. So this, of course, it's not that Krishna purposely makes us suffer. He's not some sadist who enjoys that, oh, you should suffer and burn in hell and I will be happy. No, these instances are just to show that how much love the pure devotees actually have for Krishna. Krishna engages such pastimes for us to reveal to us that, oh, this devotee is so attached to me. So, that way. So we shouldn't get scared. Oh, if I become a devotee of Krishna, he's going to make me burn in hell also. No, he doesn't do that. He's the most kind and most compassionate and most merciful person. Is that okay?
Yes, perfect.
Yeah.
Did anyone want to add anything to this?
No.
So text 12. Nati prasidati tathopachito pacharer araditaha suraganer ridipatta kamahe yat sarva bhuta dayaya sad alabhya yaiko nana jane sav avahitaha suhrid antaratma. My Lord, you are not very much satisfied by the worship of the demigods who arrange for your worship very pompously with various paraphernalia, but who are full of material hankerings. You are situated in everyone's heart as the super soul, just to show your causeless mercy. And you are the eternal well-wisher, but you are unavailable for the non-devotee. So see how Krishna is reciprocating with each of our desire, whatever is our desire. The demigods in the celestial heavenly planets who are appointed administrators of the material affairs are also devotees of the Lord, but at the same time, they have desires for material opulence and sense gratification. The Lord is so kind that he awards them all sorts of material happiness more than they can desire. but he's not satisfied with them because they are not pure devotees. So what happened is the demigods, they are devotees of Krishna. They accept that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. You know, they worship Krishna. They don't worship other demigods. No, they worship Krishna, and they worship him with a lot of paraphernalia, because demigods have a lot of opulence, right? They have more means, a lot of wealth, so they can worship Krishna very gorgeously. But Krishna is not satisfied by this worship. Why? Because he knows that in their inner desire, what is their desire? That they want all this, a lot of wealth, a lot of opulence, they want to control. So that's the reason they are put in this management of the universe, because it's their desire. They want to be in this management situation. But why is Krishna not happy then? Why is not satisfied with that? Because the Lord does not want any one of his innumerable sons, the living entities, to remain in the material world of threefold miseries, to perpetually suffer the material pangs of birth, death, old age, and disease. The demigods in the heavenly planets and many devotees on this planet also want to remain in the material world as devotees of the Lord and take advantage of material happiness. They do so at a risk of falling down to the lower status of existence, and this makes the Lord dissatisfied with them. So we have seen that, for example, Lord Indra, Lord Indra, king of heaven, then because he committed offense, so he was cursed. I think he was cursed by Brihaspati to become a pig. You know, so even though a demigod, but yet he has to become a pig, right? And then as a pig, he's doing all sorts of pig activities, of course. He's not going to eat in golden plates and eat the best of the foods cooked in ghee. What do pigs do? They eat all stool and all rubbish things. And where do they stay? In the sewers and rubbing all the dirt on their body. And they feel they're very happy. And Indra was doing that. Then Brahma came and said, oh my God, what are you doing? Your curse is over, come back. And Indra's like, no, I don't want to go back. I'm a pig. I have my pig wife. I have my pig children. So this is how strong illusion is. That's the reason Krishna does not want us to stay here. He says, come back. Come back as soon as possible to the spiritual world. Don't stay in the material world, even though you have such a high position of being the king of heaven. You have such a high position, so much wealth and opulence, but you still have to suffer birth, death, old age, and disease, you know. So that's the reason. Pure devotees. What's the position of the demigods? They are devotees. They are we should respect them by all means, because they are very, very much more qualified than us. You know, imagine being the controller of rain, or controller of heaven, or controller of wind. You know, they have very high respectable positions. But the thing is, a pure devotee is higher, a pure devotee, because the pure devotee wants only to serve Krishna. He doesn't want to be having this high position. Pure devotees are not desirous of any material enjoyment, nor are they averse to it. They completely dovetail their desires with the desires of the Lord and perform nothing on their personal account. Arjuna is a good example. On his own sentiment, due to family affection, Arjuna did not want to fight. But finally, after hearing Srimad Bhagavad Gita, he agreed to fight in the interest of the Lord. Therefore, the Lord is very much satisfied with pure devotees, because they do not act for sense gratification, but only in terms of the Lord's desire. So a pure devotee is not somebody who will artificially give up his wealth also. If he has wealth, what does he do? He engages in the service of Krishna. We have so many kings who are Mahajan, Maharaj Janak. Then we have Prahlad Maharaj. You know, they are kings. So they have so much opulence and they're disposable. Bhishma was also not a king, but still he had a lot of opulence. He did not renounce it. But what is the mood? Engage everything in the service of the Lord. As Paramatma or Super Soul, he is situated in everyone's heart, always giving everyone the chance of good counsel. Thus, everyone should take the opportunity and render transcendental loving service to him wholly and solely. So we might think, okay, I'm doing certain activity. Everybody will think I'm such a great devotee. But what's in our heart that Krishna knows? He knows each and every thought of ours. Why? Why does he know? Because he's there. The Paramatma, he's there, sitting next to us. And then what does he do? He says, he gives us in Bhagavad Gita remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. He's trying for us to come back. He's trying to give us, you know, when we are doing something bad, we'll feel, oh, I shouldn't do it. You know, that's the good counsel that he's giving from inside. But it depends whether we want to listen to him or we don't. That's our choice. So for our own benefit, we should engage in his devotional service. Now we can get out of here. And because devotional service is the natural activity of the soul, it's Sanatan Dharma of the soul. Not that we engage in devotional service in this world till the time we are in the body, and after we give up the body, no more hearing and chanting, bye-bye Krishna. No, we continue to do that in the spiritual world. The Brajvasis, they are saying, oh, what did Krishna do today? What did he do? Oh, you know, he killed this demon. So they are hearing and chanting about Krishna. They're singing songs, singing in his glory. So devotional service continues. And all this is not like out of a force. It's out of love. It's out of love. Like how when we love somebody, we always say, oh, you know, my son or my daughter, he did this, she did that. Whoever we meet, we say that, right? Or my husband or my wife or my father or my mother, they did this, whatever. Then we like proudly, we are speaking about that. So this Brajvasis are always talking and hearing about Krishna. The non-devotees, however, are neither like the demigods nor like the pure devotees, but are averse to the transcendental relationship with the Lord. They have revolted against the Lord and must perpetually undergo the reactions of their own activities. So then, if somebody does not want to engage in devotional service, does not want to understand the true position, then the law of karma applies. The law of karma is there. Or how, as we sow, so shall we reap. Because we want to continue living in the material world. We want to continue thinking I'm the body. So then, if we continue thinking of the body, then the rules of the body apply to us. You know. So, do you all want to stop here or continue with this last two verses?
This is too big, I think. One more, two paragraphs. Yeah,
I think it's too long, no?
Tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah. Did anyone want to share anything or add anything?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, you are really clearly explaining to us.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll stop here. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.